So growing up, I always wanted to have some kind of a superpower, and I bet you also thought about it. And when I watch the anime shows, I always had that feeling that I would use those powers better, and that they don't use it quite well. So today, I made a list of 8 characters for My Hero Academia that don't use their powers to the full extent. So starting off with number 8, I chose Ochako Uraraka. I always wanted to have hoverboard like Back to the Future, and Ochako can actually do it. Another cool thing she can do is make a lot of money in kids' parties. She will be quite the cosplayer for Aladdin, or she can just make kids float, if you know what I mean. Fighting wise, I think her power can be really powerful in the right hands. She can literally touch anyone and make him float to the outer space, and that is really powerful in its own. So starting with number 7, I chose Caminari. This guy is the ultimate battery. He can be a battery for the remote, for the phone, or for any vehicle you will choose, and that's quite convenient. Another cool thing he can do is create a company for energy and sell his energy and make quite the money from it. While being an unlimited battery is nice, Caminari fighting is the place he can improve the most. He can create a lot of energy, but he doesn't control it well. I think in the right hands this power can be really powerful, and we've seen it in other anime shows. Potentially you can also interfere with the brain of your opponent or enhance your own reflexes and muscles using this power. So for number 6 I chose the one and only Mr. Compress. Let's start with the fact that he can create his own moving company and make quite a lot of money with it. He can also move an entire house in his pocket or any car, and it's really convenient. He can bring weapons, tanks, plane and anything he wants with him, and of course if he touches you it's game over. And overall it's really versatile quirk, and I think we didn't see enough from it. So for number 5 I went with Creation and Momo from class 1A. The main problem with this quirk is that it's really complicated and you need to be really smart to use it. And if you overcome this obstacle, there is almost no limit to what you can do. And I would put it higher if it weren't for that obstacle. So you can use this power to almost anything you want, and it only depends on how creative you are. You can use it to create gold and money and amass a lot of power, because money is power, unfortunately. You can create weapons like nuclear weapons or quirk destroying bullets. You can create trackers, cameras, traps, poisons or anything that you can think of that will help you in battle. And you also might be able to create life. If you know the atomic makeup of an animal or a person, you might be even able to clone them. But that's just a theory, and if it's possible, this quirk is really overpowered. So number 4 will be Monomer from class 1B. Even though he can't copy all of the quirks, he can copy 4 quirks right now and for 10 minutes, and he can also increase it when time passes and he has more control over his quirk. And the main drawback in his quirk is that he needs people with quirks around him, and that he needs to know how to control their quirk. If it weren't for those drawbacks, I think this quirk will be higher in this list. But unfortunately it does have those drawbacks. But again, I think it has a lot of potential, and I will be more than glad to see it more in the show. So number 3 will be none other than Shinso and his mind controlling quirk. Just imagine Shinso can get to a guard of a politician, and then he can get to that politician, control him, and then control a country or something major. Now there are 2 main drawbacks with this quirk, but I think that they can be overcome quite easily. The first one is that he needs to be able, of course, to control that person and that person to talk to him. And I think with the right disguise and clever plan, he can do it for anyone. Just imagine a villain running wild in the city. Shinso can disguise himself as a civilian and make that villain talk to him, and then it's game over for that villain. And again, it can be done in other ways to any villain or obstacle he has, and this quirk can be really powerful, I think. The second drawback is that you can only use simple commands, but again, it might be possible to develop the power and do more complicated commands. And even if it's not possible, I think that this power is a major asset and that he doesn't use it quite well. For number 2, we will go with none other than Twice. His power has so much potential, he can create a limitless number of workers, and I bet you always wanted a shadow clone army for yourself that will do your work. He can also clone himself and create a company that will make him a lot of money, and of course he can create an army of his clones and fight anyone. He can also clone other people and they will keep their power, and the only problem with this quirk is that you need to clone someone who will be loyal to you, as you can't control the clone, and if your clones turn on you, you are fucked. For number 1, I chose Eri, of course. I think her quirk is really overpowered because it controls a certain aspect of time and you can do a lot of things with it. You can kill any enemy by touching him and reverting him back to nothing. You can revert back any injury and heal your friends or yourself. You can maybe live forever if you revert yourself every time, and you might even be able to return people from the dead, but again, this is a theory. This is all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, press the like button, and you can subscribe for more content like this, but it depends on you. I was Dot Potatoes, and see you next time.